I'd just like to welcome you all here today to Total Body Fitness. My name is James Barrett from New Zealand, and I'm going to be spending a little bit of time with Dave today looking at some functional movement. What I'd like to first of all express to you is I have a deep passion for the human body and for helping people who are in pain. I cannot let someone go by and having them unstable and imbalanced unnecessarily. When I first met Dave, he was fantastic looking on the outside, looked good, smelt good, very weak and unstable on the inside, which is why he was suffering so much. All we basically did was got his insides working to look after the outside of his body. So what we're going to first of all look at is what we do with our basic movement patterns. One of the first things that I like to look at is whether a person's transverse abdominal is working normally. What I usually find is people are strong in the rectus abdominis and they are very weak in the muscles that actually look after the spine. For a long time people have thought if I've got a six-pack I'm strong and stable. It's simply not true. What we're going to look at are the muscles that decompress the spine. Anytime you bend or extend, you turn or you step, your spine is under some sort of load. And there is a very strong system that the body already has available to it to look after the spine. Basically what we're talking about is the muscle in behind the belly button. Okay, so if you're doing an exercise and you are not drawing your stomach towards the spine while you're under load, you will be stressing your spine. What I've found for a lot of people is when they go into a movement, they immediately become rectus abdominis dominant. So they get a lot of tone. You know, they'll be running down the beach and their six-pack will be on, and every step they take, they are ruining their spine. So what I ask a lot of people to do is to show me how they activate their abdominal wall. And what I find for a lot of people is the first thing they do is they pull their ribs towards their hips. And what that is saying to me is they are rectus abdominis dominant. And what I like to see is transverse abdominal dominant. So we're going to go down to the floor first of all and have a look at what normal function is. So Dave, if I could get you to come down onto your hands and knees. This is one of the first things that I did with Dave when I first met him. And I had a look at how he contracted his abdominal wall. So I placed one hand on his belly button and one hand on his lower back, and I asked Dave to relax his stomach. Now for a lot of people, they can't even relax their stomach wall. So I'm going to ask Dave to take a big breath in, and as he breathes in, he's going to make his stomach as big as he can. And then as Dave breathes out, he's going to draw his stomach towards his spine. And what I'm looking for, is there any change in the angle of the spine, and does his stomach come up? So for people that don't have normal function, what I'll find is they will arch in the back in some way, or up high in the rectus abdominis will become excessively toned. And that's saying to me that the muscles that look after the spine are not working properly. Then I'm going to ask Dave to turn over onto his back. And we're going to have a very quick look at what should happen in the abdominal wall. So if I place one finger on Dave's belly button and I ask Dave to take a breath in and blow his stomach up like a balloon, and then when I ask him to breathe out, he draws his belly button towards the floor. And you'll notice that it falls. This is normal function. So if you can't do that, you are probably slowly but surely ruining your spine while you're exercising. Okay? A simple idea to look at when you first get started. Basically what this muscle does is it connects down from L1 to L5 in the lower back. And as you draw the stomach down towards the spine, it creates a decompressive force, pulling the vertebrae off each other. So if you've got 100 kilos or pounds, as you may look at it, on the shoulders, and you're going into a squat, and you have an excessive amount of tone in rectus abdominis and no tone in transverse abdominals, your vertebrae are compressing. Okay? That is going to ruin your back. Add to that some sort of rotation, i.e. picking up your bag off the conveyor belt at the airport, 20 kilos. For every 10 degrees of flexion and rotation, you have a 100% increase in the load in the spine. So by the time you actually put your hand on the bag, your upper torso weighs 400 kilos by the time you're holding that bag. So this is where these things become very important, not just in the gym, but in your daily life, that you are not slowly but surely degenerating the spine. Okay, and come up, Dave.
Correct.
When I first met Dave, he was suffering from lower back pain. Are you suffering from lower back pain? Have you suffered from lower back pain? Here's what you're going to do about it. You're going to look for the muscles just above your hip bones. Okay? When you bend or extend, these muscles should draw in. It's as simple as that. You draw your stomach in, you decompress the spine. You decompress the spine, you take away the back pain. Another thing to consider if you're suffering from back pain, are you too tight? Are there muscles in your body that have more tension than is ideal? The quads, the glutes, these two muscles are the problem child of a lower back. If they've got too much tension, it pulls directly into the lower back. One of the things to consider, lengthen your muscles. Find a little bit of time to stretch. A simple thing like placing your foot up onto a bench, pushing your pelvis forward, looking for that lower abdominal, you'll find length in the muscle. Another reason for the back pain is tight glutes. If I can get you to make one leg long, and then lift the other leg up into the air, and bend your knee. We're looking for this muscle here. If this is tight, it's going to pull onto your lower back and cause compression in the spine. It's a simple act of pushing the knee towards the opposing pec and then pressing the hip down into the floor will create length in the glute. It can be as easy as that to take away your lower back pain. Again, when you're doing any of these movements, you want to be looking for some transverse abdominal tension. You should be drawing the belly button down towards the spine as you increase the pressure that is going into the lower back. We're going to have a look at a squat now. It's one of the most functional movements that the human body does. We've been doing this for several million years now, bending and extending, and probably in the last 50 to 100 years we lost the ability to do it well. So Dave, if I can get you to stand facing me, and we're going to have your feet hip width apart. What we're looking for is flexion of the hip and the knee. The first place you move is your pelvis. You move your centre of gravity back, and then you start bending at the knee. So we take a breath in as we go into the squat, so the pelvis goes back, taking a breath in as we go down into the squat, and we're looking for flexion, and then as we exhale we come up into extension. Flexion, extension. We're looking to maintain a neutral lumbar curve and a neutral head posture. This is the breath in, this is the breath out. The belly button goes in as you go through the hardest phase, which is the change in direction. This is your breath in, and this is your breath out. Fantastic.